Alright guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about supply. Now supply is different than demand, and it's going to be something that we are going to see as a difference because, frankly, it's different. And supply is kind of going to lead us down that path. So here's what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about supply and how to graph it. But first, let's do some review. Alright, let's start by labeling our origin here. Now let's say and see, well, we have a highest price of 80, so I could count by 20. I have those 4 spots. And I've got the highest quantity of 100, so I know how to do this. This is 20, 40, 60, and 80 as my highest price. And then my quantities can be 25, 50, 100, 75, let's get this right, and then 100. All right, so what I have to do now is I have to go through and plot. At $20, I have a quantity of 100. All right. At $40, I have a quantity of 50. All right. At $60, I have 35. So that's going to go up, and it's going to kind of fall in between, probably a little bit closer to the 25 than that. And then last but not least, at a price of 20, I have 80. Now I connect my dots. And there we go. All right. We know that's a demand curve because we learned about that last time. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to practice doing it a little bit different way. All right, so what I have here again is my origin. I can see that my highest quantity is 50 and my highest price is 15. So I'm probably going to count by 5s on this side just to make it easy. And that's 20 all the way up there, even though we won't get there. Quantity-wise, I have to get to 65, so I'm going to count by 20s so that I go past 60 and into what I need to be in. All right, so up next, here we go. We're just going to start plotting our points, nice and easy, right? We're going to focus only on A right now. So at a price of 5, I have a quantity of 40, and that's right there. All right, at a price of $10, I have a quantity of 35. So that's going to be right there, kind of steep right there. We'll learn about what steep means in a little bit. Price of 13, in between the 10 and the 5, the 10 and 15, I have a quantity of 20. So that's going to fall right on my line there. And then 15 and 15, which is going to fall right about there. So now I have this, and I can connect it, and wow, that stylus is a little bit off there. All right, so we'll just make it nice and thick so that we can see. And it looks like a demand curve because that's what I've learned about. Now the next thing I have to do is I have to not focus on A anymore, but instead focus on B. I'm going to change my colors up a little bit. And I know at a price of $5, I have a quantity demanded of 11. Which is right there. At a price of $10, I have a quantity demanded of 21. All right. At a price of $42, at a price of $13, I have a quantity of 42. And at a price of $15, I have a quantity of 65. And there we go there. Hopefully you guys can figure out based on today's what that curve is going to be. We'll call it a supply because we already know. And then this point right here, right? This point right there in the middle is going to be an ever important point as we start going. But right now, you guys just need to know that's where they cross. All right? So when we talk about supply, supply is what a producer can supply. So how much is made available, right? Unlike demand, what we don't see with this is we're not going to see it's what we can afford. What we're going to see is basically that it is what is made. It doesn't matter if we buy it or don't buy it. All right? The law of supply states that as the quantity or as the price increases, wow, let's go back and rewrite price. I wrote prints and quantity at the same time there. That was a little confusing. Price increases, the quantity supplied increases. What that looks like is as price goes up, quantity supplied goes up. Now, a lot different than demand because we know demand's an inverse. This one is the same one. It's proportional. It always goes the same way, which means that our arrows are always going to point up and to the right as well. Now what we see with this is we definitely kind of see how this works. Think of demand as like the consumer and supply as the producer. demand, we're going to demand things that are lower costing, whereas a supplier is going to supply more things if they cost more money. And that's kind of what you have to remember to kind of do that. All right, supply is not what we buy, right? It is what is made. And supply will always point up to the right. And that's an important thing to remember as well. So here you go with that. There's our S as we look. All right. So moving forward, here's one graph that we're going to do together real quick. I'm going to start by labeling my origin right here. All right. And I'm going to label my sides. My highest price is $65 and my highest quantity is 8,000. All right. So price-wise, I'm going to count up by, well, we can do, excuse me, we can do 25, 50, 75 right there. And then we can go back over here and we can do 3,000, we can do 2,000. Let's do 2,000. All right, so 4,000, 6,000, and 8,000. All right, so now that I have that all put together there, let's just go through and graph it. 20, we have 3,000. So right about here is where we start. At 45,000 of quantity, we have a price of 35. So that's going to be right about there. All right, at $50, we have a 6,500 quantity, right about there. And at $65, which is going to be right about here, we have a price or a quantity of 8,000. So there we go with that. That is what's known as a supply curve, and thank you for watching. Have a wonderful afternoon.